One thing that happens is a lot of times is people are planning for the birth and not postpartum. And I say that's like planning for a wedding and not the marriage.
We always prepare for baby. Now it's time to prepare for yourself, how your postpartum is going to look like, rather than just preparing for your babies.
You know, like, why not get all the things that you need? You know, like the nipple creams, the pads, the diapers. A lot of the stuff you need is actually for you. There's a million things that you can, a million little things that people can buy, when really that's not the stuff you need. You need the core support is what's going to really make the difference. So, you know, having people pay for that or set up time that they're going to come in and support you is way more beneficial than.
Dr. Michelle Hagerty is a board-certified family physician and founder of Fourth Trimester Doc. She is on a mission to make postpartum healing personal, accessible, and radically compassionate. Welcome, Michelle. Welcome to my channel.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Recently, I came to understand about matrescence, and that's the topic we are going to talk about today. It's such a powerful word, but it's so unfamiliar for so many people. Right. So what does it mean to you, and how has it shown up in your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So matrescence, like you said, it's beautiful and sort of profound word that so the definition is it's the birth of a mother or the birth of a parent. And you think about that, you know, we're so focused on the birth of the baby, but yet, you know, when somebody gives birth to you know, a baby, or even just I actually think this happens even before you give birth, you go through these profound changes, right? And so the term was actually coined by Dr. Dana Raphael, who's an anthropologist, and she actually also coined the term doula as well. So she's sort of like been instrumental in the birthing space. And then it sort of like went like unnoticed for many years, and then was in the early 2000s brought back by Dr. Orly Athan, who's a psychologist out in Columbia and Columbia University. And so she sort of brought this term back into mainstream and really sort of helped get more information out about it. But, you know, really it's the idea that, you know, this major transformation that people go through, and you think about it, that it helps to remember that it rhymes with adolescence. So, that's true. You know, there's major changes that happen in adolescence, right? So it's, you know, the physical changes, hormonal, emotional, psychological, spiritual. I mean, you could just go through all the alls, right? All the changes that happen in adolescence. And we have whole tons of research and lots of appreciation for and understanding of what happens in adolescence. And even like whole fields of medicine that are focused on adolescence. But, you know, matrescence hasn't had that same sort of support. And so so that's where I think it's really important to really, you know, acknowledge and consider all these, you know, adjustments that happen. You know, even when we think about matrescence, we're also thinking about like financial changes, right? So you go through shifts and like how, you know, maybe how you're saving, what you're, you know, planning for the postpartum, even what you're, you know, thinking about planning for college potentially in the future. You know, people go through, you know, all kinds of environmental changes. You know, now maybe you eat more healthy, you focus on organic, right? And you sort of think about what the world and the environment may look like in the future for your kids. So there's all of these shifts that happen, and what do we do to support that and help people through those shifts as they're making these this, you know, sort of going through this rite of passage in their lives. And that's where, you know, I think that's where my work sort of stems from.
Okay. And how are you? Like, you are family medicine trained, right? So how did you transition? What made you do this transition from like family medicine? You could have gone anywhere, but you chose like specific postpartum or this period, this fourth trimester as your specialty. So what made you go through that? Why did you choose it?
I mean, I think for a lot of people, it's our own experiences, right? So, so I go, I had, I was interested in maternal child health from, even when I was in college, actually. And when I was even choosing my medical specialty, did I want to go into pediatrics or OB-GYN, or did I want to, or family medicine, which I got to do both, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's where, I think my initial, focus on this area started. But then when I had my own kids, I realized like just how much of a huge gap in this care there was. So when I was going through my own matrescence, I, was struggling with like after I had well, actually starting before I had my first baby, when I had miscarriage prior to my first baby, I went through all these changes. I felt like I was a mother, right? And so, but I didn't have a baby in my arms. And so I was going through, I had gone through, I had shift my whole mentality to thinking about the future and what our family was going to look like, and what I could imagine what we needed in a house, and sort of all these nesting kind of things. And so I'd gone through some of that transition already, and then I had the miscarriage, and it felt like this huge loss. And then what was I, right? Where was what was my identity at that point? Was I a mother? I mean, I sure felt like it. I certainly, and I still feel like that. I'm still mothering that my angel baby who is with me all the time. But I'm still a mother to her. Like she's still part of me, right? But that's even though she didn't come earthside, she's still a part of that. But the world didn't recognize me as a mother yet, right? True. So then, so I went through that whole experience, and then I had some issues with fertility for a while, and so again was going through these changes of trying to have a baby earthside, and so I was again going through this whole matrescence, but then not having a baby in my arms yet. So changing the way I was my relationship with food and health and all of these things, and trying to make sure that I was doing everything I possibly could so that then I would have a healthy pregnancy. I think we might have stalled here, but so and then I got pregnant with my baby, and my oldest, and he was, healthy and everything was good. But then, I had to bring him to the pediatrician at 3 to 5 days postpartum. And I was like, I didn't want to put on pants at that point. I was leaking from every orifice. I was crying. I was leaking from my breast milk. I was incontinent. And so I didn't want to put on pants. I was still wearing diapers myself. So to me, that was really eye-opening, in that I wanted somebody to come to me. I didn't want to have to go into the clinic. So what would that, if I really wanted that, there must be a need or a want out there for other folks as well.
That's such a powerful story, and I can relate that completely because I have been through the same thing. After my daughter was born, and not having support, and trying to find out it is not the right system that's in place, and just system needs to be changed altogether.
Exactly.
I was reading about your story, and it looks like you have done a lot of help and services in other countries. Like you have been to Peru and Zambia and other everything sounds so amazing. And you have seen 2 or 3 multiple different ways how postpartum is treated, like in those country and here country. Did you find difference in the context there? Because now we are talking about system issue, right? So it's, for me, it's a huge difference than when I came in. I came in from Nepal, and here the system is so broken. Like I was amazed when I went through it by myself, and I can't even explain it, that there is so much the gap in the care for the postpartum newborn during that time. And you have been traveling. You've traveled so many places. Did you see that there is difference in the care?
I mean, definitely. I think that definitely there's a huge difference. I mean, there's a difference. I think one of the major things that happens in the US particularly is that everything's so siloed and so everything's expected to fall on the mother, really, or the sort of individual unit of the family, and not on these extended families and these extended tribes and communities that help sort of raise families up. So I mean that's just, I mean, it shows just back to with our, we don't pay for maternity leave, we don't support people and returning to work eventually. I mean, there's a lot of lacking care with that. I mean, in Europe, there's specifically in France, everyone gets a pelvic floor physical therapist. Because they recognize that there was a significant trauma that happened to the pelvic floor, and both in pregnancy and the birth itself, and so this should just be an automatic, right? People across in other countries get nursing services that come in almost daily or at least weekly for months and months and months for supports, and we sometimes will get maybe one nurse visit, if that. So there's a huge lack of support, and this sort of expectation that these nuclear families are supposed to just sort of navigate it on their own. And so that's where I think things like sleep training and problems with lactation and these maternal mental health issues and all these things sort of stem from, is because we're, as a society, we're not supporting families in what is normal and physiologic in the family system, and trying to force babies and families into a community and into a community structure that just doesn't support them. So I think it's a huge issue, and it's definitely starkly different from other areas of the world, for sure.
Yeah. And how do you think we can change that? I know you are already doing so much advocacy around the fourth trimester. Do you think it needs to be in system level or personal level? What is your thought on that?
It's absolutely a system level. It's not something that we can force people individually to do. I think that there's some expectation around there's individuals sort of setting up supports. So I think if I talk a lot about postpartum planning in my in my practice. And, one thing that happens is a lot of times is people are planning for the birth and not postpartum. And I say that's like planning for a wedding and not the marriage, right? Like you're planning for this big event, which is great. I mean, it's important. It's an important event, and really it's good to have some ideas around what you're looking for and what you're wanting. But truly the area of control that you have and some of the more of your efforts will sort of pan out better is in that postpartum time. Is that if you're setting up systems of support and making sure that you have the nutrition needs and the people that you have in your corner, and setting up what is sleep going to look like, and really sort of prepping for all of that, setting up your environment, where you're going to stay and where you're going to spend a lot of this time, right, with this baby. If you're setting all that up in advance, you're going to be much more likely to have more success and thrive truly in that postpartum period, as opposed to just really just making by. And so, but unfortunately, that needs to be set at this point. It's on the onus of the individual to set that up. However, I think our system really is the huge problem, and that's where people, individuals that surround these people that are giving birth can be very helpful. But then also, like employers and our governments and different organizations and all of that can be more helpful in supporting families and in really being able to thrive.
Yeah, totally agree with that, because it's very hard to do personal level to find all the help that we need when we are already trying to figure out all these new things. So if there is a system in place, like, okay, you need like pelvic therapies, or you need nurse to come to your house. And if that is already set up in a system level, then mom really don't have to worry about those things and just focus on herself and baby. And I think that's what you're doing. You're trying to help this mom in like holistic way, trying to cover everything. So that is great. Now let's talk about, like, I wanted to go back to myself, right? So I had to go back to work like 6 weeks postpartum, and then that was during my residency. I'm still bleeding. I'm still having that tenderness in a big breast, not knowing what to do. Still tired, not slept maybe that full 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks that I had to go back. So what do you tell moms, how can we change either like system in place, or mom, how can she prepare? Because right now there is no system, right? So how can that mom who has to be, but there can be so many reasons. I had to go back because my residency was like, you have to come back. So many reasons. Other reason can be like financial, like they can't take leave for like 4 6 weeks. They have to go back because now they have extra human to support. So, like, what can mom do, or what can the system or the workplace can do to make this easier for mom?
Oh, this is a lot, a lot of things.
I know, right?
So I think one of the biggest things is that prepping for postpartum. So I think moving into the postpartum period and knowing that you're going to have to go back at 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So how do you best set things up for success in that time frame? So, for example, with nutrition, how are you going to be fed and get your food during those 6 weeks prior to going back to work, or even after? Once you're back at work, how do you usually create your meals and things? So how do you best utilize your time to do that wisely? And so there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You can set up meal trains so other people can send meals for you. You can prep meals in advance and put them into freezers and have freezer meals that way. You can there's like meal services so that they can, that are fairly reasonably priced, that can send, you can get weekly meals in that way. But thinking about that in advance and not waiting until you're super hungry to try and figure that out, right? Like where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have anything in the fridge or freezer right now or in the cupboards, and now what am I going to do? And I'm just going to snack on like a granola bar. Like you have to, how do you find and make sure that you have all that sort of stuff set up in advance. Right. You mentioned lactation and sort of having some issues maybe with some breast engorgement and things. So, making sure that you have all that planning set up before you get into that situation. So having a lactation consultant that is in your corner and that you're connected with, and that can help you navigate. So you're not doing all of that on your own. So you're not figuring out, Googling, trying to navigate like, how much milk do you need to be able to go back to work? And how does my pump work? And all these things, which then you're just spending exponential amounts of energy on all of that. Most insurance companies the insurance companies are required to provide lactation services as part of the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. So connecting with your insurance company and checking to see if you've got that coverage as required, as they're supposed to. And then you can connect with, even a virtual lactation consultants is better than nothing. So, so connecting and getting the support you need there. There's all kinds of national companies that provide lactation services for in those areas. Asking for help from coworkers, from your church, from your circle of friends group. People want to help. They just don't know how. A lot of times it's just they don't know what to do. And this is, again, a problem with our society, but where people just don't know, it's like just step in and help. But, asking for that. And this can be a huge shift for a lot of people, because a lot of people don't know how to ask for help because they've sort of tried to do it on their own for forever. But this is a time that it's really needed to ask for that support. And sometimes I say, well, don't ask for it for you, ask for it for your baby. If you feel like if you're having such a hard time asking for help for your family, it's much easier for people to kind of get over that barrier and say, oh gosh, I really need somebody to come and like hold my baby while I go take a shower, or help me with, or hold my baby while I take a nap, or whatever. As opposed to like, hey, can you come and vacuum my home? Which also I think you should be asking for, or come do dishes or laundry. But that can be a little bit of part of it ask for some people to sort of, get that barrier down. So start somewhere, ask for something, and get and start moving forward with that. And then prepping for, going back to work, making sure that you've got all the things that you need at work. So, if you are breastfeeding or body feeding, then making sure that you have where, what's your pump situation going to look like? Where are you going to pump at? Does your employer support you? And if not, are they under legal guidelines, or are they not following them? And so we may need to sort of argue with some of that stuff. I mean, we do have physicians across the country they're providing fourth trimester care services, sort of similar to mine. And Dr. Patel's. And so, connecting with a fourth trimester physician, we've got those, our directory on our website at the Center for Fourth Trimester Care. It's a great place to start to try to get access to this support early so that then you don't have these problems later. It's sort of then you've got the support that you need and can ask all the questions and you're not Googling.
I love your answer. Like, we always prepare for baby. Now it's time to prepare for yourself, how your postpartum is going to look like, rather than just preparing for your baby. So that is like bottom line of this conversation.
Completely. Well, you know, people have all these baby showers, right? And I actually tell people have, I call them mother moons, because, or mother baths is another, you know, because I think that there's this, you know, like, why not get all the things that you need, you know, like the nipple creams, the pads, the diapers, for yourself, you know, the adult diapers, the postpartum diapers, you know, like food trains and things like that. And you can set up all that stuff because do you really need a million onesies and baby blankets? No, you don't need all that stuff. You need actually a lot of the stuff you need is actually for you. So, you know, registering for a doula, or registering for a night nurse, or registering for you know, having people pay for those things as opposed to, you know, this expensive snoo or whatever. Like there's a million things that you can, a million little things that people can buy, when really that's not the stuff you need. You need the core support is what's going to really make the difference. So, you know, having people pay for that or set up time that they're going to come in and support you is way more beneficial than, like I said, a million pacifiers and whatever else that people, you know, the books and all this stuff. You don't need any of that stuff in the first 6 months. It's not necessary.
So what is one thing new mom or mom who is pregnant can do to change, like something, like make it a little bit easier through her postpartum or pregnancy period?
One little, I mean, again, I think it's that prepping. So whatever it is that you feel may be a challenge for you, like if you already have like the freezer meals figured out, or if you've got, you know, if you have a partner that always cooks anyway, so like that's already sort of set up and not a problem, then maybe that's not the thing you focus on. Maybe if you have an issue with, if you've had significant anxiety or depression in the past, but may not be dealing with it now, it would be a really good idea to connect with a therapist. You already have that set up in case things kind of go a little haywire in postpartum, which is very, very common because, you know, lack of sleep, lack of nutrition, the depletion syndrome stuff of having like all these, you know, sort of, you know, growing another human from your body, right? That's very challenging. So your body is going through this you know, this shift. And so having a therapist is a good idea to have on board if you've got that history. So really identifying the things in you that you may need, looking around your house and deciding what are the things that that help this house run. Like, do I have a pet? Do they need to be walked every day? Like maybe setting up a dog walker would be just the little thing that would just take that off your list, that you wouldn't be worried about anymore. You know, do you have an older toddler and now you've got to try and figure out what's childcare going to look like for them? Maybe enrolling them in childcare would be a good idea. So that then you have that space and time at home. So then when they do come home, you can put more energy into them. So looking at your individual, I can't say off the top of my head what each individual is really going to need, because really it really is very individualistic. It's how do you decide what you need and what maybe will be a struggle for you in your postpartum time. But the key of all of it is thinking about it. Like just start thinking about it and planning for that time. What's that going to look like? And that's going to make all the difference in the world, because then you've already got somewhat of a plan set in place that, you know, like you've got the supports and things that you can call or set up or some ideas of things to do so that you can lean into that. Because when you're tired and, you know, and sleep deprived and all, it's hard to think and problem solve. You really want to do all that problem solving in advance.
I love that. Yeah, I think preparation is the key during this stage. Otherwise, you keep on blaming that it's you. I see a lot of moms saying, not like blaming to like the emotional, physical, all the changes that she's going through, but just saying, oh, because I am not good or I am not capable of, like, that's what the feeling that she goes through, and just blaming in themselves rather than all the changes that is happening. So, and just all the blame.
it's the system that's failing them. If you're feeling that way, it's your system is failing you, and I am sincerely, I apologize a million times over that this is a system that is doing that to people, because we deserve so much better. You deserve so much better. We, are as parents, and especially as moms, we need that support and help. And there's been a lot of mom shaming around that we're supposed to do it all on our own. It's not physically possible to do so. It's just, frankly, it's not. And anyone that says otherwise is a liar. That's not true. Because there's just, it's way too much. It's not meant to be done by one person. It's meant to be with tribes and communities, and we're meant to, have all these other people, aunts and uncles and cousins and, grandparents, and all of these people are supposed to be supporting us and not sort of making it more challenging.
That's so true. So with your work at fourth trimester doc, so how do you think the system in next 10 years, how do you think the system will be? Will there be any change? What can we do? What are the things needs to be done?
Oh, I hope that there's change. I mean, that's what we're working towards, in both my private practice and our nonprofit. I think that my vision is that everyone would have access to doula services, a fourth trimester physician, in-home support. They would have lactation support. Everyone would have a therapist. I personally think everyone who's born should have a therapist, because we all we should be partners and friends and all these things. Like we need professional support, right? And that we have employers that, that see this as needed, right? And so, like, for example, going back to your residency, that there is like the employers and the hospital systems and everyone will see that this is an important time, and it's crucial. This matrescence time is crucial in, this development of our lives. And so, to be able to support people in that space, people just come out healthier. They come out more resilient. They come out more able to work and be able to function and have very healthy relationships with their jobs. But if they don't have that support during this time, that's when things struggle. That's when there's more turnover. That's when there's more mental health concerns. That's when people have more sick leave and things, because people aren't getting the support they need. So my vision is that there would be, like our practice, like our care will be, employers will pay for it. Like it'd be part of a benefits package. It would be part of, and potentially insurance companies would actually pay for it appropriately. That's a little bit more. I feel like we're gonna have more luck with employers than we are with insurance companies, but fingers crossed, so. I think that there's a lot of work to be done, but I think that it's a possibility in 10 years to have a significant shift.
I really wish good luck to you, like what we are doing here, trying to raise this awareness and really focus on the moms that during that phase and making their life easier. I know we can go on and on. This topic is like so huge. We can talk forever, but I really loved our conversation today. Loved talking about matrescence, what we can do and how we can navigate everything. I love all your tips and tricks. I'm sure our viewer will like that too and love that. So before we close this discussion, do you have, if people want to reach out to you, what is the best way to reach out?
Yeah, I'm on all the social media platforms. Facebook is Fourth Trimester Doc, FOURTH Trimester Doc. Instagram, Fourth Trimester Doc. LinkedIn, Fourth Trimester Doc. And also YouTube. We have a YouTube channel as well. And then our website, www.fourthtrimesterdoctor.com. So FOURTHTRIMESTERDOC.com. And Center for Fourth Trimester Care is another, like I said, great place to find resources and folks in your area. So if you're not in Minnesota, so c4tc.co is the website there. Any of those platforms, happy to connect.
Thank you so much. It was really nice having you on my show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Take care. Bye-bye. To every mom listening, matrices is not something that you have to rush through. You are allowed to change, you are allowed to feel lost, and you are allowed to take up space in your healing. If this episode touched you, please subscribe, share with the moms who need to hear this. Drop a comment below with one part of your identity you have had to rebuild since becoming a mom. Thank you for joining us. Thank you again, Michelle. We will see you next time on Momkins. Bye, everybody.